Hello everybody, my name is Philip Dean and I'm going to be talking to you today about immigration law, and the topic is specifically what happens when an immigrant is arrested for a crime. When an immigrant in the United States is arrested for a crime, the court will ask the question whether the crime was one of moral turpitude. A crime of moral turpitude or of bad moral character is one typically related to lying, cheating, stealing, some kind of fraud, and also crimes that carry a sentence of a year or more, or felonies, are typically considered crimes of moral turpitude as well, and those are also deportable. So to clarify that, if you commit a crime in the United States, it depends on what state you're in, and if the way that that law is written in your state involves lying, cheating, stealing, fraud, or anything else that could look bad, morally repugnant on your character, then you could be deported. That also includes repeat offenders who do the same crime over and over again. It also includes crimes of violence, crimes of a sexual nature, and most any crime that carries a sentence of 1 year or more is also usually a deportable crime. So if you committed a crime and in the state statute that you violated does not include any elements of lying, stealing, cheating, fraud, and the other characteristics I mentioned, then you may not be deportable, but you need to speak to an attorney about it. If your crime was more serious, or you've already had a conviction before, or there's some extenuating circumstances, then you could be deported. If this is your first crime that you've been arrested for in the United States, and it's not that serious, it only carries a sentence of say 6 months or so, and there was no violence, there was no stealing or cheating involved or lying, then you may not be deported. You still want to talk to an attorney, but that is basically how it works right now. If an immigrant is arrested, they will see if it looks bad on their character, and if it does, then they may or may not go through deportation proceedings. So keep in mind that criminal laws are different in each state, and so in some states the same crime may not be deportable in another state, and that is because it depends on the elements of the statute of the crime. If that crime involves an element in the statute that leans towards those morally repugnant characteristics that we mentioned earlier, then you could be deported. But if the criminal statute in your state does not have an element of moral character that we mentioned before, then you may not be deported. So it depends on the criminal statute you violated, the state you're in, and how serious the crime you committed was. Your criminal attorney has an obligation under Padilla v. Kentucky to tell you whether you can be deported for the crime you committed. Almost any crime that you commit can make you deportable, so they will probably tell you that. But to get in more detail about what types of crimes are deportable and in which states, and the precedent behind that, involves a little bit of research about what kind of people, how that statute that you violated in the criminal law has been interpreted before, and yeah, the circuit you're in, and many different factors. So it's not a simple question to answer, but if the crime was not that serious, you're less likely to be deported. That's the basic rule. And the vague definition of a crime of moral turpitude is one that is defined by case law, by different judges' decisions over years, and it's not really, doesn't have a very specific definition, other than how we've seen it be interpreted by the courts. And so that's why you might want to speak to an attorney if you're not sure about whether you should take a pleading or not, because you think if you take the pleading and admit to the crime, you might be then deported. Those situations come up a lot. If that's the case, and you already have a criminal attorney or whatever it may be, there is a link in the description below. Please reach out, ask any questions, and we can refer you to someone else if we don't know the answer. But this is a good place to start. And again, my name is Philip Dean. I work for the Marston Law Firm out of Ruidoso, New Mexico, and we would be happy to talk to you if you have any questions. I'm doing a series of these videos on immigration law. So thank you so much for watching. Please hit like below and go click on the link if you want to reach out. Bye-bye.